pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks everybody. Any public comments? No
There's a
public
pause.
comments.
It's not a good.
Moving on
Do it together. Okay. Yeah.
to consent agenda. Anything we need to go over there? Need you to approve it?
Mr. Chairman, I'll be recusing myself from voting on this matter due to a conflict.
Okay.
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Say abstain.
And it abstain.
Abstain. Sorry.
All
Wrong one.
right. Reports. Superintendent's report.
Okay, I want to start with putting the year back in learning, teaching, and living in Mountain View School District. I'm excited to announce that Clearwater Valley Junior Senior High just finished its accreditation, which is a process high schools have to go through every 5 years. And a comment from the evaluator, and he will be here in March to officially present his evaluation. But one of his comments was that when he met with the stakeholders, and he asked the question, what does this school stand for? The stakeholders said family, hope, and kids.
Huh.
Could you not have asked for a better response?
Family, hope, and what?
Family, hope, and kids. And so that was pretty awesome and reflective of Clearwater Valley Junior Senior High School's care about the kids and Benny's great job this year, and so that was pretty awesome. Developing procedures and practices that promote consistency. The next one of the things that I'm tackling is our facility use agreements. We have some forms in the district maybe that are floating around that are out of date. I think maybe patrons have made copies over years and they just turn in the same one because they don't realize. And then the one we have is kind of onerous. It's huge and confusing. And so working to kind of update that facility use agreement so that it's more user-friendly for people to use, and some clarity. And then some things that we noticed or we've been noticing is that it'll get filled out in a building, it doesn't get to custodians, so custodians don't know about it, or somebody fills it out and gives it to the custodians and the building doesn't know about it. So just kind of streamlining and clarifying that. It's important that we protect our buildings and take care of them, but it's also important that we try to make them available to our patrons because our schools mostly are community centers, the work is community centers. So we want to develop a procedure there that's a little bit more clear, a little bit more user-friendly, but also protects this.
Are you using the one we just adopted last year?
Yeah, well, I was, but not everybody was. That's part of what we're working through, is making sure that everybody has the same.
Comment today?
And then,
There's a little bit of confusion with the fee schedule.
okay, and then, do they all have Google Calendars, like all the
There is a calendar
facilities?
for each facility.
Okay. Do we have public comment today?
No, no.
Okay.
Okay, and then my last goal, everyone learning every day. Just a shout out to Clearwater Valley Elementary's teachers and their curriculum, their language arts curriculum that they're using. They're working so hard to use the curriculum to its fullest, and they're doing a lot of assessment and then using that to inform leveraging like the way they monitor kids and the lessons that they teach. So a shout out to them. And then also to Rick Catola, he's our HVAC guy. We had a power outage that was long in Elk City, and Rick was just like a mother hen over that building, and he was just so concerned because a power outage in the winter could mean frozen pipes. If something doesn't kick back on, when it comes back, you could have refrigerators go out, you name it. And so just a shout out to him to how invested he is in making sure our buildings are running the most efficient. And so a shout out to him. And then lastly, I do have, I don't know if all of you have seen the Tribune article about the Secure Rural Schools funds. There was an article in here in the Tribune, and Senator Crapo is quoted. I was very much a Pollyanna in the beginning. I was like, oh, it's been voted down before, it'll come back. I'm going to tell you I'm no longer feeling that way, and I'm very concerned that might be a huge hit to this district. And so last month, we had talked about a possible letter from the trustees, encouraging our senators to really push that. I would encourage that as well. I have reached out personally, both of them, both as a person, voter in Idaho, as well as a superintendent. So I encourage you to do that.
And how much is that, $1 million?
It's $1 million, just under $1 million.
900 million that we won't get now? And that would be next year or the following year? Would it be
No,
26?
we should,
It'd be
because the payments are always a year behind, so we should get this one in April, and then
Which will come in May. And that'll be for the 25-26.
we'll
24, 25.
24,
It comes
20.
in the year prior.
Yes,
Okay.
So we'll get one last payment.
but you won't
And
get
if
one
it's
the
not
following
renewed,
May.
we won't get it again.
So the budget we had for our second year of the levy?
We'll be okay because we'll get this next payment.
Okay.
But then after that, we're looking at very different.
Okay.
And by the way, it doesn't just hurt schools, counties, or.
Yeah, the county's really
road-
suffering.
Road districts, highway districts, that's the word I'm trying to out.
Yes.
You know, it's huge for Idaho, huge, and so please, 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 please reach out. I believe Senator Crapo wants to push it forward. I think he's probably needing some support because it's not a very favorable atmosphere right now. So please make your voices heard about how imperative it is for our district.
I was told we get the most because we have the most public land.
It's
We are the
actually
largest recipient.
The
88.
state of, no, I'm talking the state of Idaho.
Oh, state, yeah.
Yeah,
That's why we're having a hard time because all the other US senators from the other states, they don't get it.
Well, Oregon gets the most,
Oh, okay.
and then Idaho.
Okay.
I think
Washington.
Montana's after that.
Oh, okay.
But,
In my former district, we got $700. I probably wouldn't have cared so much about rural schools, but here, it's a huge impact.
Yeah.
It's like $500,000
I
in
wonder
the highway
if
district.
we as a board should put together a letter.
Yeah.
That would be a good idea.
Larry's our best writer.
I like that, I like that.
I'll
Do you
see
think
what I
you
can
could
do.
put something
If you
together
could do it,
maybe?
You can sign that, that would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll sign it.
You're done?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to principal reports.
So I'll start with Oak City. I'd like to do a staff spotlight each month, and spotlighted this month Jenny James Fraser from Hawaii, and she is actually the preschool teacher. So she's not employed from the district, but she is helping our youngest students, and we're really appreciative of her. And Jenny said that was the biggest change of life to move from Hawaii to Elk City, and probably the craziest thing she's ever done, but she really enjoys it. So, very proud of our teacher Kathy there. She said 2 of our students have been full level in Imagine Math, so a full instructional grade level, based on all of the effort they've been putting in. And so she's been working really hard to help kids kind of get up to where they need to be. Some exciting things that are happening up there. She's been using the Mystery Science. We had a what's the word? Free version to try. And so she's been doing some extra activities with the kids. So they were working on static electricity this last week, had a lot of fun with that. So another wonderful thing about Elk City is being able to get outdoors and enjoy the beautiful area that we live in. And so they've been doing a lot of snowshoeing and cross-country skiing with all the snow up there. Speaking of, and to kind of tag on to what Mrs. Holthouse said, is I'm really appreciative of Rick's efforts as far as making sure our heat is up. The gym has been very under, the heating system in the gym is not keeping pace, and so he's been trying to make sure that filters are changed and things are working so that it's running more efficiently, so I really appreciate all of that. And we are looking into what could we do to get a generator system. I think that's something that we really need to have for Elk City School because we do lose power up there a lot. And number one, it impacts the students' instruction, especially with so many online programs. So we're offline quite a bit in that realm, but we also have just the concerns about, things kicking on and kicking off and the wear and tear on our systems. So looking at grants and how could we help get something more sustainable. So that's Elk City. For Kuski, for LCVE, like Alyssa said, I'm very proud of our teachers. We're in year 2 of implementation of our ELA program and trying to really work on helping kids get up to where they need to be as far as deficits, and so trying to streamline those processes. Feeling very good about that. We've made slight growth. It's not as much as we'd like to see, but we recognize that it takes time, especially when you start a new curriculum, so we're working hard on that. Also wanted to spotlight Lisa Arnett. She's our special education teacher. She's been in the district for 21 years, 8 years as a teacher, moved here 2 years ago at CVE, and she's been really working outside the box thinking to help some of our special education students meet their goals. So very proud of her. Let's see here. As far as emergency drills, very proud of the students. Again, we've been trying to really work hard on our processes, and we continually get out of the building faster and accounted for more quickly. And then as far as celebrating some successes, we have several students that have been working hard on their reading goals, and we have celebrated those kiddos in January and getting ready to celebrate again in February about the achievement there. So in a nutshell. Oh, one more thing, sorry. Facility update. Last week with our very, very cold temperatures, our gym at CVE, there was a malfunction between the parts. This is Rick telling me this, so I'm just telling you. The electronic component was not talking correctly with it. He did a lot of work with some tech support from New York City and had to make sure that he got a little strong with them, and we got it fixed. So I was very thankful for Rick and his fortitude to do that. So thank you.
All right, board, members of the community, thank you for my opportunity to speak on behalf of Clearwater Valley Junior Senior High School. We as well do a staff spotlight. This month I chose a teacher, Mr. Ben Tice. Ben Tice is a math and science teacher here, junior high and high school. He's been a teacher since 1998. Ben started his adult life joining the Army, served for 3 years, and is a veteran of Operation Desert Storm. After his tours of duties and working in the Army, he went back to education, worked a fair amount of time throughout California, and then decided he was going to make the transition over here. Ben came and started at Clearwater Valley Junior Senior High School in 2021, teaching math and science. He has a deep passion for collecting, in addition to his great math skills and the work and the relationships he has with our students, he has a deep passion for collecting and selling vintage transistor radios. So if you are a ham radio individual, he boasts, and he likes to boast, that he has one of the largest selections available worldwide. And so he likes to, he does a lot of club and local ham radio stuff around our area, so he's very active in the community with adults and students outside of his school duties. His journey has been marked by resilience, adaptability, and an unwavering commitment to teaching. He shows passion every day, and he's a great colleague, a good friend, and we, I would think on most everybody at Clearwater Valley Junior Senior High School, are honored and privileged to have Mr. Ben Tice on our team. So he's a great asset here at Clearwater Valley High School Junior High. Student activities, February 8th, Saturday, our girls basketball team. Last year, you might know, they participated a whole season with 6 players. They went winless, but they did not give up. They showed heart. This year, freshman class was quite large in terms of their participation. Had a great girls team turnout. So they went from winless to being the 5th place league finisher in the league. They did a really great job. Fought hard, just not hard enough, I guess, to enough buckets, not enough points to move on into the state level. But they played 2 really good district games. As far as our boys, they play down one division. They petitioned to play at the lower 1A instead of the 2A. So at the 1A division, they are the number 1 seed for 1A. They've done really well. I believe I think they're 10-2 in league record. They lost to Deary just the other night, so they're 10-2. So we were hoping they would stay 10-1, but they are the number 1 seed, and they will open districts in the first round, February 24th at Lapway, 6 p.m. if anybody wants to go cheer them on. February 12th was a Wednesday, our senior project and parent-teacher conference makeup night. That was well attended. I believe our students in my years here, I believe that the seniors this year, some of the most well-presented projects and meaningful projects that I've seen in a little while here at Clearwater Valley High School. So they were very, very well good topics, good projects, good job shadows, just meaningful items that they can take with them. So although it was a tough milestone for them, they were appreciative of the process, having talked with them about the project, the process of service learning and project management. Our associated student body, student council, advisor is in our audience today, Mr. Bruce Nuxall. That council took over, saw a need with our concessions. All volleyball season long, we didn't have any concessions here. They saw a need. They stepped it up. They met with local business partners here in our community, talked with them, and brokered a deal, a partnership with the Kuski Cafe to provide a profit share, cost share scenario and provide that service. So they're learning how to run a business and what it takes to be a school-based concession stand. So that's student generated, and so they've put a lot of hard work and negotiations into that, and so I'm proud of them for that. Facility update has been mentioned here, our custodial maintenance and HVAC crew. Sometimes we might say the buildings and rooms aren't warm enough, but they are doing their due diligence, keeping your taxpayers' dollars right where they should be in terms of that button. Our teachers like to go push the thermostat up, but it's locked at a certain degree, so they can't go up. So your maintenance crew is doing really well, and as we've been known, snow plow and removal, that's been kind of our issue here at the school. They've been working on quite a bit. And my last topic item is focus on continuous improvement. I've came before you a few times talking about our professional development days and our professional learning communities and how we're using those in a meaningful way. Our team here addressed the 9 characteristics of highly performing schools. We went through that process and breaking that down and what that meant to each team and each group. We came up with 3 targeted goals. First goal was during the next parent-teacher conference dates of February 6th and 12th. We had to adjust that. It was really 5th and 6th and 7th, but because of our closure snow day, it became the 6th and 12th. Clearwater Valley Junior Senior High School will achieve 80% of students represented by a parent guardian at the parent-teacher conferences. So we identified that, our parents aren't coming and engaging with our teachers and our staff, so we worked on that. The next one was students given a Thursday ICU. ICU to us is a missing assignment platform protocol that we do. Students missing assignments, they get put on the ICU list, not the medical one, but the one that notifies parents they're on it. They come and send a Thursday they come and serve Thursdays with our staff, work on homework and make a presence there. So students will increase their ICU session attendance to a minimum of 80% by February 5th, 2025. So a lot of kids were trying to skip out and not attend that extra opportunity. And our last one, by the end of this school year, 24-25, the percentage of students who do not feel safe at school will be less than 20%. So all these came out of our discussions, out of the data-driven that we did through our PLCs, and that was one that staff felt was near and dear to them. So we're working on student safety and that aspect there. So tomorrow is our professional development PLC days for this month. Our teams will look at the data off of those ICUs and the parent-teacher conferences, see if we hit our goals. And my last item, as Mrs. Holthouse mentioned, we did just finish, February 4th, we finished our accreditation. We are awaiting the final report that will be delivered to you guys at the March board meeting by our evaluator, Mr. Michael Garrett from Cognia. That's my board report, if you have any questions.
The off-board living principals, their building reports are works of art, and I just didn't feel like they were getting enough attention in the world, and so they're now linked monthly on our website for the public to look at. I don't really remember where we put them. Do you, Connie?
I will be putting them under, so this is our website, and I believe we said, I have it in my notes.
I think we put them on the board page.
Did we decide the board?
So anyway, we'll
Yeah.
let you know. But
Yeah.
we are going to put them out
I'll
there
show
because
you.
they're so good. I just feel like more people should see them than the board. They're amazing.
What do you
They really
think
are.
about-
They work so hard.
What do you think about converting them from a PDF to an image and just putting them on the websites? Like this.
Like a
the
news
Facebook.
post?
Sorry, Facebook.
Oh, you could do a news post and then it would share to Facebook as well. The only problem, then there wouldn't be an archive if people wanted to review, but pros, cons.
We'll discuss it and come up with something because they're so good.
For both.
They're so good. The older principals work hard on that.
Right, I agree. I think parents would want to see it too.
Yeah, they're good.
Okay, so since she said they were works of art, clearly not mine, okay? Clearly not mine. A couple of things I just want to say, our numbers are up. It's a fluctuating thing, so we went from 176 to 185 students on IEPs from my last report, and we've increased our number of students on a 504 plan. Yesterday, we attended a training on behavior, and we had the counselor from CD High School, so Monique went, Mrs. Martinez went, Lisa went. We had Nicole Howe, Jen, and Candace. So we had all the areas represented. We had administrators, special ed, and counselors, and it was a really good training. I didn't print these, but I'm going to lay them by Tracy and tell you that if you want to look at what SESTA is as far as
Training
a
program. You can click and go. It's really a good, they really do a good job. And there's a lot of information. Next month, the state is paying for a training that we will have in March. And I think it would be great if one or all of you could attend, because we're going to talk about SPED law and requirements of the district and what we need to do. And it will be a good training, full day on March 21st, if any of you guys want to brave it. I also want to call out a couple of really above and beyond things. On our snow day, and if anybody's in Grangeville, where the streets are still not good, but where they plowed it and it was all piled up, on our snow day, our SPED teacher Marcy Nuxall and our SLP Michelle Toston, we literally crawled through the snow to get into the district so that we could have a meeting and not inconvenience a parent, because that had been preset, and we were there. We didn't have internet. We crawled through the snow. They did a really good job, very above and beyond, when they really didn't have to come out in the snow on a snow day for us to have a meeting. And next month, there is another conference, the Blue Jean Conference, which deals primarily with SPED law in Boise, that I will be attending.
So there's my non-beautiful report. Do you guys have any questions that I could answer?
Okay. Thank you.
All right, moving on to business.
Carly.
Oh, Carly, sorry, Carly. Jumped over you.
Not good. As always, I like to point out the website and under financials. And then I put my board reports on here. So for January, we originally called it a financial Q&A. I gotta figure out another title. It's, they were questions and I have answered them, but maybe now it's just facts. But so through January 31st, we talk about the cost per student, and then the student to teacher and teacher to admin ratio. So those are just updated through the January 31st numbers. My budget versus year-to-date spent and percentages are also updated through January 31st of 2025. Again, we get the majority of our funds from the state in November, and then we just got our February 15th payment. That's not in here, but that's why our revenue is so already at 73%. It's because we get our revenue first and then our expenditures kind of come later. So it's normal to see that high. A few things to point out. Again, from the state unit support units, the salary-based apportionment, benefits, transportation, those are all about that 60% because that's where we're at through November's payment. And then February should get us about 90%. So you'll see that with my next report. Special distributions are kind of the same page. It's from the state. It includes our literacy funds and remediation and college and career. Again, another thing, our interest income, because we get the funds from the state right off the bat, we have them sitting in our investment pool. We're getting a decent interest rate. I am seeing a trend downward. We were the first 2 years I was here, our interest income per month was going up, up, up. I am starting to see a trend down, and it's a quicker down than it was up. And so I think that'll start leveling out. And so that's about that. And then so our expenditures again, our expenditures come more so towards the end of the year because our certified and administrative and about half of our classified staff have agreements that for the 24-25 school year, they get their payment through August. And so we have to accrue those costs into the 24-25 school year. And so that's why those percentages seem low, but we catch up really fast at the end. We've talked about workers' comp. That's at its full percentage because it's a one-time cost, and that happens right off the bat. The rest of it, I'm pretty happy with the percentages. The accreditation one, we talked about that with Mr. Martinez's school, CDHS, going through accreditation. Like every year we have our normal fee, but when they go through accreditation, there's an additional one, and so I wasn't anticipating that. So that's why that percentage is higher. Same with our, not same, but our custodial supplies, again, we talked about last year during our budget meetings that the cost of custodial supplies just keeps going up and up. And so I did have budgeted for sanitation, $10,000, and it's just what we need for our buildings. I mean, we can't say, no, you don't get bleach, or no, you don't get the products we need to keep our schools clean and our kids as healthy as possible, protecting them from viruses. And so that just is what it is, and I'll have to adjust the budget next year because costs are just increasing. And that's kind of, again, everything else is looking pretty good for our percentages. These are our balances for our funds. Again, our general fund is at a balance of 4.6 because of the early payments from the state to catch up with us when we have our expenditures towards the end of the year. Our child nutrition or food services are at 113, and so it was nice during COVID. All students were free, and we built that up into a pretty good pool. It was like at 208,000, and so we're seeing that steady decrease. It's going to eventually be needing to be offset by the general fund. So just another thing to keep in the back of your mind. Bus depreciation's at 445,000, but we still do have 2 buses coming to us, and so that'll take out about 325,000. The school modernization funds, so we've just kind of been slowly using those for what we see. We're using some for the item that Michael presented to us to update security items with, help me out, what it was, oh, never mind, we're good. And some other HVAC stuff and items that are just keeping our buildings up and functioning, as Mrs. Holthouse and both the principals down here have mentioned that Rick is just doing an awesome job at. So again, this $3.4 million is supposed to last us for 10 years. That school modernization was for 10 years. So that's kind of my report. Also, you'll have noticed on the consent agenda, it is my resignation, and that is definitely with a heavy heart. I was not looking for any other job. I do want to say how much I've appreciated working for Mountain View and how much I've learned and how thankful I am for the board, the staff, the kids, and the patrons, and just it was just timing. The business manager at Cottonwood is retiring. I graduated from Cottonwood. It's my hometown. It just, no, timing wasn't ideal. I feel like there's still so much more I could do here, and I want to do. But one of my favorite people say, when God knocks, sometimes you gotta let go of the doorknob. So I am very, very, very thankful for what Mountain View has done for me in my career. So just wanted to say thank you.
We are very grateful as well.
All right, now on to business. Go to business. Where are we going with this?
I'm a little confused because it's in item 1 and item 10. So help me.
How do we want
What are we doing?
to approach this? Do we want to, we looked that over. Does anybody have a preference on what they want to say?
If you want to take action, you can take action and put it on, because if you want to take action, you can. If somebody makes a motion in a second, and there's a vote. But it's also on there because it is a policy that you would be changing if you do take action.
Anybody want to take action? Sign. This is the one we existing?
That's our existing.
You guys want to sign the existing one and call her good?
Yes.
Is it one we've already signed?
So we don't really need to take that much action because it's already
Alyssa, you had suggested us adding some things. Was that, what do we need to add to that?
One of the things that you had talked about was governance, reviewing governance, like more procedures for how you get things done and work efficiently. And some of the things that were in the original code of ethics that have been removed as being done, mentioned that they're actions, not ethics. That would be true, but taking that action is part of your ethical responsibility. And so I'm just saying, if you want to look at governance, that's fine, and come back to this. But I believe that there are things that are in this original code of ethics that you should be asking yourselves about doing so that you're efficient. For instance, looking at your packet. The week before agenda is developed, you get your board packet electronically. There's also a printed copy, because you're supposed to take that packet, study the information, come home ready to make a decision. And so that would be something like, okay, this is my commitment. I'm going to get that packet, I'm going to read that packet. I'm going to come to the meetings prepared and ready to make a decision. Again, you are the trustees, you make the decision, that's fine. I'm simply making a recommendation that the code of ethics that you currently have is too short. We've left some important things out.
And that's what I was specifically wanting to ask you. I went over these again, as you can tell by my marks, and I can't characterize what's on the ISBA list other than to refer to these as expectations, or it reads to me more like a list of job duties, which is different than the concept in my mind from what an ethic is. An ethic is a principle. It's a foundation from which you take action. And so, you know, one of the things, we've already talked about the First Amendment issue. I don't know that we need to discuss that any further. But I would be interested in knowing if you would like to add to what our current code of ethics covers. What specifically would you say? Because I'm kind of understanding your point that you last mentioned there were things in here, and I was just wondering what those things specifically are. That's all right. I got a big mouth.
Maybe you should have a code of ethics and duties, or duties and ethics,
Or expectations.
or duties and expectations.
I don't know. Yeah.
Because I just think that you all should take a look at these other items, there's 16 of them, and consider. And I hesitate to tell you which ones, because it is duties and ethics, and that's for you to make a decision. I just feel like sometimes when we look at a list and we say, all right, those are the things that I'm going to commit myself to making sure they're done, we're better at getting it than we are if we don't.
I just honestly can't see in this list, and I've gone over it more than once, what we would add to an ethical statement, because if you read these, I'll just pick a number. Number 9, understand the chain of command and refer problems or complaints to proper administrative office while refraining from communications that may create conditions of bias, so on and so forth. That's not an ethic.
No.
It's not. And most of them are like that. Be open, acknowledge, recognize, understand, give staff. That's my primary objective. It's just I think it's a misuse of the word ethics.
Could we have 2 sections in our 1600 policy? Could we have the code of ethics signed by us, and then could we add to the code of ethics and call it responsibilities? Because it says, I recognize and accept my responsibility to set an example.
Yeah, I categorize them as expectations, you know.
That'd be great.
That'd be interesting to work on.
I think that would meet that. The purpose is that a board member commits themselves to doing certain things. And so, yeah, I would agree with you that code of ethics, I can't speak. I would agree with you that code of ethics would be a mislabeling.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, but I also think that we should take the time, and you brought up that we should study governance and our procedures and what we do. So my recommendation is take the time and really look at those. What are your responsibilities? What should you be doing in order to be the best trustee that you can be?
Well, and when you sign up for a job, you kind of want to know what's expected of you,
It
and
would be
we
nice
didn't
to
have
have
we
this.
didn't have any of that
Long time
before.
ago.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
man,
So
I don't know.
trustees coming off the board, raise that.
Yeah.
Mrs. Edwards, you want to work on this with me?
Sure. I think if we just take what we have right now and like just put the ethics first, and then the responsibilities or expectations second, and then
I would
we.
like to rework the expectations, but yeah, I'm
Okay.
with you.
So this is our first reading.
You just
Yeah, just think
Okay.
about it.
table it.
Sure. Yeah.
Good. Okay, let's move on to student presentation.
Wherever.
That's fine, or up here? I guess up here.
Can't hear you.
Gentlemen, would you be sure and state your first and last name?
My name is Benjamin Nuxall. Just over there would be great. Thanks, guys. I've got a few pieces of paper that I need to give to you. So I've got a copy of our initial letter of intent. That would be given each of you one up.
Do you want to stand over there so you guys don't have to back to the audience?
Yeah. And then this is just kind of a list of the main topic points that we're going to be going over along with our initial letter of intent.
That's okay, we'll share.
I can just get mine. Okay. Never mind. There we go. Found it.
Thank you.
Okay. So, we have come before you, members of the board, to present our idea for student project. We are students at Clearwater Valley High School, and we are only sophomores right now, so we're trying to start early because of the fact that the nature of this project does have some complications. So I'm going to turn it over to Trace to kind of explain to you what a school-based enterprise, which is what this would kind of be.
So a school-based enterprise, or SBE, is an entrepreneurial operation in a school setting that provides goods, services to meet the needs of the market. SBEs are managed and operated by students as hands-on learning laboratories that integrate national curriculum standards in marketing, finance, hospitality, or management.
Now with school-based enterprises, they are kind of a fairly new thing that have been getting involved. A lot of schools that are bigger are integrating this into their system to allow for students not only to experience what it would be like to be involved in a real-world environment where you are not only working with a business, but you are also gaining experience in kind of a classroom sense where you are learning how to overcome obstacles that are involved with being a part of a business, running a business. Everything is student ran with the administration of the school, and it would also involve a lot of work from the principal of the school and also the agricultural teacher, because this is an agricultural-based program. So the biggest concern with the project that we are presenting to you, which would be a mobile welding business, or the mobile welding unit, is insurance. Insurance is a big concern with this just because of the nature of what we will be working on. It is welding. It does involve something that in reality can be dangerous if done incorrectly. Now, our welding program is taking big steps, and we are at a point where we feel as though we need to offer our advanced students and people that want to give that back to the community, as well as kind of learn a little bit more about what the welding industry is like, and that is kind of what we're trying to do. So insurance would be a big concern with that. That would be a matter of the school, and that's a big reason why we've had come to the school board with this project idea, because it would be something that the school would be taking on as a risk, and we understand that. Because of that, that is something that would need to be kind of figured out a little bit more. It would involve liability issues, as well as a lot of forms that would have to be signed by students, the school, parents, as well as anybody who utilizes this business for one of their projects. So any customers would also be required to sign forms. And that's just kind of the nature of the project. Now with that, liability insurance seems to be the biggest thing that we have seen with our research. And it kind of depends on the case, but that seems to be our biggest piece. So I'm going to give it back to Trace to kind of explain.
So I'll talk about a little bit of the welding industry and our welding program. Welding has been taking a huge leaps and bounds in recent years and is becoming a very important role in the American industry. The enterprise would allow for our school's welding program to step up with the industry and also build relationships with our community. So our welding program, I've been here 2 years now, and to the start of my freshman year, we didn't have too many kids taking our program, and most of us didn't know a ton about welding, but we've worked hard at it, and I mean, we've learned as much as we can, and we've had a couple of people come in and give us some tips on welding, and help our school out a little bit. And so we've tried our best. And then halfway through the year, I think we got a grant, and so that helped our school out, our program out quite a bit. We got a bunch of new machines and stuff. So it gave us a bunch of opportunities for different things and projects we can make. But so just to touch on that a little bit, our welding program, I remember back when my siblings were in high school, my brother especially had a super big impact by the welding program. That's actually what he decided to do. So within our welding program, last year we've had the welding program around, but due to kind of outdated equipment as well as not really a curriculum that we could follow, it had kind of fallen down a little bit. Last year, our shop teacher, Mary Charlie, she stepped up a lot, and that allowed us to kind of kickstart our welding program again. So we had, I think, like 6 or 8 students enrolled in the welding program last year, and we made a ton of progress. We went from nobody knowing really anything to being able to produce quality welds and actually like build projects that we can be proud of. So that's kind of where we're at with that, and that's why we think that this project is a big deal, because anybody that has now started in that project in the welding class, they've advanced to the point where now they're kind of at their limit, and we would like to extend that. So this year, there has been a lot more improvement since then. We got a brand new plasma cutter, and we got a bandsaw, all kinds of different stuff from that grant that we received. And we were able to include a lot more opportunities for our students. Now, thanks to this, we ended up like doubling the class size for welding. We gained a lot of interest, and that's also kind of why we're like, yeah, this is something that we are confident in and we would like to pursue. Yeah. Now, this final topic that we'd like to talk to you about is the equipment with this project that we are offering. So the mobile welding business would be set in probably an old horse trailer or some trailer of that form. So this form, this trailer, all the equipment in the trailer would be purchased by us and will strictly stay with the trailer due to the fact that it is a senior project. So it'd be up to us to raise funds and raise everything to purchase all equipment necessary to run a successful welding operation out of it. It would include a stick and MIG welder. We have looked into a couple different options within different price ranges that we think would be good for us. Now, all of this needs some touching up on. This is a new concept. We're still learning as we're going. So all of this could change as we progress. And then it would also be equipped with angle grinders and such. And again, all this equipment would be part of our senior project of paying for this equipment, getting it all set up to a point where it can be safely used by students. Now, the reason that we have come to you guys is to get it approved to the point where we can begin our operation of getting started. So because of the fact that this is an expensive thing, it is something that takes a lot of time, which is why we're starting as sophomores. We would like to get approval from you to say that we would support this if you push forward. Now, with this, there are a lot of rules and regulations within school-based enterprises that we would need to do research on as we start progressing forward and as we start moving forward with this. So as we learn more about that, that can allow us to step further and further and further with this project. So we're asking for the initial okay from you guys to say, yeah, we're in support of this, we think that this would be great. And I personally think that this is an amazing way for us to connect with the community. I think that's something that our school has really struggled with lately. It is connecting with our community, and this would be a really good way to do that. So basically what that would do for us is it's allowing the students to kind of build okay, not only are we supporting you guys, but you are now giving us you are now experiencing something, you're getting real world experience, and we're also getting products out of this. So
that's kind of what we're asking is for them to move forward and then to kind of do, that way we can be like, hey, now we can start with this and we can really start to move forward with this without getting all of it done and then all of a sudden, oh, no, we can't do this because of whatever things. So that's kind of how we've got this. Yes.
Question, have you considered having someone from an outside business, locally or even as far away as Lewiston, that is already in this business, that they would become part of the organization, at least advising, and providing some direction? And also, that might help with the insurance situation too, if you had somebody that's got a lot of experience who's done this commercially. They can, if they have a little oversight, that might improve that insurance situation substantially.
Yes. So that is something that we not yet have reached out to any of the kind of businesses that are in that kind of field. Again, that is because we don't want to move forward with something that then is going to just get shut down right away. Now, once we start with it, that will be our biggest priority, is getting hold of people that do this kind of thing, have this kind of business set up, and it will involve getting a hold of local businesses, the people in the community that are willing to help us and kind of guide us on our way to get this started.
Sponsorship sort of.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Quick question regarding the insurance, is that something you see your work doing as producing enough income to provide your own insurance, or do you need the district to do that?
So I think initially within the first year or two, it will be kind of a little bit of a split between the district and the business. But this is something that I feel once we get it set up and once it's been running for a little bit, I believe that it should be fully in a position where it can pay for everything that it has, because it will be taking an income, and that income will be being split between the ag program, running the business, and I think that enough of that funding will be able to fund any insurance issues.
It's a school-based enterprise, it has to be under our umbrella.
I understand that, I'm just saying in terms of, I would think that the overarching concept here is for you guys to start and run a business.
Yeah.
Part of that is having insurance.
Yep.
So that, in my opinion, ought to be on you, not on the district, mechanics aside. I was just curious.
Yes, and that is another thing where it could be adjusted.
Because if you go out on your own, once you graduate, then you'd have to get your own insurance, right?
Well, yeah,
So-
and with that business, once we graduate, this is fully going to be placed in hands, like it will be given to the school. This is just us setting that as a school project. For
Well,
the school.
I commend you, I think it's great.
Thank you. Yes.
Have you put together a proposed P&L, profit loss type statement, cost versus what you expect to be looking at? Have you projected for a year out, or 2 years out, or 10 years out?
We have not yet. Again, we are just coming up with this idea. We are sophomores. We still have 2 years to kind of get this set up. So now that we have this idea, that will allow for us to kind of do our research and figure out what exactly we need to do. So if we get this approved and are able to move forward, from there we will be able to do our research and say, okay, this is our estimated income. These are our estimated costs. These are the things that we need to have in place. How can we do that? And if it does become something that in reality isn't possible, then it just becomes at that point, well, it's not possible for us to do, and that's okay. We still have different things we can fall back now that we've started so early.
So I love the idea. I love SB. Who would be pulling the trailer?
So that is something, again, that we would need to do more research on. This would all depend on different rules and regulations that the district has in place that we would need to figure out how to follow, as well as things that the school-based enterprise programs that are pre-existing came up with. This is something that we do need to do more research on, because we personally are not completely sure how that would work, so that would be something that needs to be figured out.
It's part of business, you have an idea and then you gotta figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, that's
So I love it. So welding, you need electricity.
Yes.
So would you have like a 220 generator, or
So
like what? How does
that's
that work?
actually, the best part about welding is welding has come so far, and there's so many technological advantages that it has now. We have come up with 2 welders that we would need, a Ranger 225 stick welder. It is a gas-powered welder, and it doubles as a generator as well. So you would be able to take a MIG welder that needs to be plugged into a wall, and the power produced by that gas-powered stick welder produces more than enough to power a second welder as well. So that would be, it would have its own power source integrated into the system, which is why it works so well.
And so maybe you need an enclosed trailer, not a horse trailer, just
So
because of the electricity?
Yeah, so the thing with that is these machines are built to withstand the weather. A lot of welding rigs, those machines are just placed right out on a flatbed and they're exposed to the elements 24/7. So that wouldn't be a concern because of the safety factors already built in. Now, in reality, personally, just a preference, if we did do a 2-horse trailer, we would waterproof everything, we would construct everything to where water can't get in. But in reality, that is a minimal concern.
And then leaving school to do these projects, how would that work?
So this would be a matter of you would have to put in your personal time as a student. This is something where, because of the fact that it's not a class, it's not an apprenticeship, you would not be allowed to leave school, I don't believe, unless we found a way that you could do that. It would be a matter of you are taking your personal time to put in something that you gotta put in the work, you gotta believe that this is something I'm willing to put my personal time into doing. So it would be done outside of school.
I think kids leave early though, don't they?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that is for the apprenticeship program.
So, because it's career technical education is where school-based enterprises are housed. There's actually a school-based enterprise class that has a class code, so in reality that they could, it's similar to a work release program. So if they were enrolled in some of these students that, like these gentlemen here at a sophomore age that are presenting to you for their future, I really believe these kids will be at the point where they only need a couple of classes their senior year, and they could do work-based learnings, school-based enterprise for 3 or 4 hours a day easily, probably, these kids, and it would be coded as that. So there is a pathway for that to be able to lead school and default to the ag teacher.
I'm Mary Turley, I'm the ag teacher. To add to that, if you don't mind, they're foreseeing it more as an FFA type project, which is out of school, after school type hours. That was their original concept. So, but I mean, we could tie it in as a class as well. So there's 2 different options there. They could do it as an FFA project, which would be on their own time, but they get to block those hours and things, and then they get paid for their work time out of class. That way, that's how the FFA school-based enterprise projects work, and then they can build that up and put it on their resumes and things like that.
Have you identified work that's needed in the community?
Well, so from what I've noticed, even just personally with a lot of my family members, they're always coming up with projects like, man, if only I had somebody in my family, well, luckily my family has multiple people that come out, so we don't really worry about that, but there have been a lot of people that I know personally that are always looking for somebody to repair different things, a lot of farm equipment. It really is a growing need. There are a lot of kind of personal contractors around the area that they just contract different various kinds of work, and they'll just go out there with a little handheld welder and they'll weld up a piece of equipment for $100. It is a growing need in the community and all of the local communities around us where people just need small things repaired, and just those little things can have enough pay that can stack up over time. So yes. Any other questions?
Yeah, the liability is a big one, because it's like covers the car or the truck that's pulling it, the trailer, your work.
Yep.
Yeah, and Carly, you run our insurance with.
They actually, it's doable for the insurance portion, as long as there are protocols that the school-based enterprises already have set. So you just get those protocols from them, it does unfortunately voice say that it has to be a school employee, someone over 21 years of age, and on a fleet insurance policy that drives the vehicle. So don't let your students hop in and take off in the truck, all right? Anyway, but there are protocols that are there already in place. My recommendation to the board is that you approve that these boys begin their senior project and their investigation into funding and requirements and based on meeting the appropriate safety protocols.
We might be able to utilize Rick Patola also.
There's a number of resources I would recommend that they tap into.
Or Evan.
A concern
Yeah, Evan.
will always be programming and adding a staff member. If you know, it fits within their CTE. I do know there's another round of CTE grants coming out with big dollars involved, so you'll want to be watching those as well.
Okay. We have a motion.
What the heck did you say?
I wasn't gonna do it.
Begin investigation of their senior project, or begin their senior project with an investigation of a career-based enterprise, or school-based enterprise, providing that they are seeking funding, appropriate funding, and the requirements needed for, for the safety protocols.
Did you get all that?
Very well. Do you want to read my notes? It's written like a third grader.
You're going to make that motion.
Yep, she's
Well,
gonna
you're
write
gonna
it.
hold on until I have a motion.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Great.
Senior project.
To approve the senior project.
Gentlemen, super excited for you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Can't wait to see what you do with it.
I think it's a good idea.
Good
I
stuff.
think you got a few things to put together and, get the ducks aligned and so forth,
Yep.
yeah.
And that's where we're at, where we're trying to start as early
Yeah.
as we can to make sure we're
Yeah.
able to do that.
Good for you.
Do it.
Thank you.
We love this. It's like exactly what we want kids to be doing. So it's so cool that you had the foresight to start now.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, I appreciate that.
Enterprise.
Want to tell Tracy what that, or Lacey? excuse
Yeah, I
me.
will. Okay, so, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
So approve the senior project of beginning the investigation of funding and safety requirements for a school-based enterprise of a mobile welding unit.
Okay.
A second?
Second?
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Go get them.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right. Moving on. CTE, travel out of the state. Is that Stone? Yeah, it's good.
In case you don't have enough papers already.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what I need.
Yeah, just more papers.
All right.
Do you mind if I preface just so that you know? So,
Go ahead.
Levi and Amanda Bush at the high school in Grangeboro were talking about some CTE travel, and I shared with them that we have a pitfall in that in Idaho, we can't take students out of state without the permission of the board.
Oh.
And then, let's say, so that's the next thing, you're going to see occasionally our athletic teams travel out of state. They stop in Ontario and go to Boise for lunch, that's an out of state, they go into Clarkston or Pullman, so it happens. So I have asked that they give us our athletic schedules at the beginning of every sport from now on, and you just approve those athletic schedules. That way you're officially approving any out of states that they have.
Okay.
Amanda Bush included those in her high school presentation for baseball.
Yep.
But then CTE, when they travel, sometimes it's much further. And so in those cases, that needs to be an official presentation before the board and approving going to those locations. There are locations in the for instance, if they were to travel out of state, there are travel bans on certain areas that they don't want students to travel to. Even in the United States, you as a board have to decide what's safe, that you want them to go there or not go there. And so that's the preference for Mr. Stone and his presentation.
I'm worried about the February 6th trip, and I think you need a trustee to go along.
Okay, well,
It's to Vegas.
To kind of back up a little bit, every year, if you go to the page where it says FFA Officer Retreat Estimated Budget, so for the last 2 years, except this year, we've gone to, I take the officers and we go on a retreat. Something fun, something that's exciting for them, makes them want to be an officer, put in all the extra time throughout the year, reward them for their work. 1 year we went to Coeur d'Alene, did triple play in Silver Mountain, stayed in an Airbnb. 1 year we went to McCall, went ice skating, did a craft day at I can't even remember the name of the place in McCall, but this year as we were talking, the idea came up that flights to Vegas are $73 round trip. An all-day pass to triple play is $65. And we had 3 of our 6 officers that had never been in a jet, and they thought that would be a cool experience. So our president put together an itinerary. We submitted it to the principal. She gave it to Mrs. Holthouse, and she said, "No, you can't go out of state without board approval," which was the first time that I'd ever heard that. So I said, "Okay, well, let me talk to the board." So here I am. But as Alyssa was saying, we do travel. I also drive the bus, and every trip that I've been on south of Weiser, we go through Ontario because it has the most restaurants in the closest vicinity. For the last 2 years, when we traveled to the state CDEs for FFA in Moscow, we've always stayed in Pullman because it's 8 miles away and rooms are easier to find, they're cheaper, and there's not all the same craziness going on as in Moscow. We've been invited to the Stone Washington FFA livestock judging competition. Every year we haven't gone yet, but that is a potential possibility. There's the national convention in Indianapolis. That is something that we would like to try and do next year. Tulare County, California. So that's probably one of the dangerous spots in the United States that Mrs. Holthouse was referring to. But the World Ag Expo, I've had the opportunity to go to it twice when I was in college. It's an awesome experience, and it's something that I thought would be a really cool officer retreat, or even activity for kids who are interested. But and then Las Vegas, Nevada, I'm still not giving up on that idea. So,
Our daughter's going to be very mad.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, because she didn't get to go there.
She got to go to triple play. But,
Yeah.
And the cool thing about Las Vegas is that immediately I had 4 chaperones that said, "Yeah, we'll go." Okay.
Well, and it kind of gives the other kids incentive.
After we got shot down on the trip to Las Vegas, we tried to schedule another trip to McCall, New Meadows. Had an Airbnb lined up, and like the night before, all my officers were like, "Nah, I can't go. I'm not gonna make it."
Yeah.
And part of it's my fault. You know, they didn't have any skin in the game, but you know, they want to do something fun. They want to do something cool. So, but at the end, I kind of put my thoughts down on a piece of paper. If there is an official policy, I would like to be in compliance. Want to make sure the same rules apply to sports teams. We had a girls basketball tournament in Deer Park, Washington. Okay, that would technically be out of state. But more than anything, can we make this a streamlined process? You know, in the age of emails and telephones, like, I like you guys, you know, and I don't mind coming and talking to you, but is there a way that we can do this? Submit an itinerary, submit an agenda, submit a plan, and have it not be
Could we change the policy that says that the principal could do it?
Or
Could approve?
Can we,
No?
can we just submit it
Oh.
to you electronically and have you guys all sign off on it?
Could we agree at the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
That we agree with all the travel that the principals agree with?
Like when you have planned trips, like the beginning of the sports season, that's why you would approve the sports schedule. Because they're going to those border
Okay.
incidental travels. If you're traveling out of state, it takes a month. I mean, really, there's no way to do it in less than a month. You have to, and well, it's sometimes more than a month because you have to hit the board meeting right. So you have to get on the board agenda and the board has to vote. You can't send an email and say everybody is okay because you violate open meeting law by doing that. There's really no way around travel other than getting the board to approve it in an open meeting with a presentation. These are the dates we're traveling, this is what we're doing.
So this is for next
This
year?
is nice that you,
This is for next year.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, at the
Annual
beginning,
fees.
every year you should approve your sports schedules that are, if you have sports that are traveling out of state. Some schools don't, those incidentals, because
We
really,
never have.
that's a little bit of semantics, Pullman and Moscow, but really, it's as easy as get your schedule, put it out there, approve it, it's a done deal.
agree.
Pretty easy for sports.
whose policy
For
is this?
activities, those kinds of things, those need to be approved. Those need to be approved by the board. Because to travel out of state with children, you have to have the parents' approval, but then when they are working in you are parentis locum.
Local
And so
parentis.
you have to say, yes, I give you permission for these things.
Is this
Well,
a,
conceptually, if one of those items was on the
Because the wrestling
agenda
team
in
does too.
October and you guys didn't go,
So
then
you
no
sign all your
foul.
stuff at the
Right.
beginning
And
of the
so
year with
I-
your
I-
coach.
yeah.
I like where you're going.
Because they travel
And
through
we'll come up
Montana
with
to
one
go to
form, So long
Chalice.
as we have some way to confirm our paperwork was in order.
You had some, if you had an agenda the first of the year, or the first, in July or August or something like that for a meeting then, presented this is what we're looking at doing this next year,
We're not a moving target. Same
rubber
day
stamp
every
it.
month,
That's right, yeah,
right? So we'll be happy to work with you.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Is this a district policy or is this state law? Got it. Okay. I like that you did this. This is for 25, 26, right?
Yeah.
Or is this for this year?
So these are just potential, I mean,
Just cover
I'm
everything.
fine with
Yeah.
it.
so I guess I can put together a, what would you like me to call it, travel plan,
Yeah.
itinerary,
Yeah,
Just whatever's required in code.
yeah,
potential trips,
scheduled trips,
Plan,
I-
just say plan.
yeah.
right, and, depending on the year and who's participating, I don't necessarily want to commit the FFA officers to a trip
No,
that they don't want to.
You
Put a
just say
qualifier on
potential.
there that
Yeah.
that's anybody that reads it
Potentially
would know.
plan.
Because
we
then
can
what
give you the
board is doing is
approval.
saying, oh, those
Yeah.
potential trips, they're all acceptable to this
Yeah.
board
That's right.
that we
Right.
could possibly travel.
Okay, so I guess for an action item, how about Pullman, Washington, Ontario, Oregon, and Minnesota?
Can we just agree that to the whole packet?
Yeah.
Still approve the travel out of state as presented.
I do want to clarify though,
There's no
none
dates
of
on
this
these,
is
though.
district money. This is all
Is it?
money that you guys have raised.
Correct,
Can I state that again?
yeah.
There would be no Vegas trip with district money. This is all fundraising, and they're gonna take a fifth chaperone.
The only issue I have is
B.
some of these don't have any dates on them.
Correct, so,
Can you do that off the top of your head?
so, sorry, let's see.
This is all fundraised
Yeah,
money.
CDEs are the 2nd through the 6th of June,
Which one, I'm sorry?
the Pullman, Washington,
Okay,
and then.
again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Second.
Um,
So 2nd to last week of school.
Right.
It's always the same week every
Orion
year.
does their
Okay.
graduation
This year
right away.
happened to
Isn't that graduation day?
run into school. Yeah, 6 is graduation.
Yeah.
Do we have to have dates or can we just approve locales?
Approval out of state as presented. Do that.
Okay, I move that we accept the potential FFA trips outside of the state of Idaho as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Bless you.
Any further discussion?
Okay.
Yes,
Why do I have two?
just in the interest of
Did I
due
take
diligence paperwork, I apologize.
No, no
But somebody's got all of these parents' permissions and all that already lined out. I assume they're not generic. they say, this date, you're gonna go to Oregon, or whatever it happens to be, okay.
Did we already approve this calendar?
I'm just, all it takes is one idiot drunk driver to cause us a nightmare. You know what I'm saying? And my issue is, I think this is, I'm all for it, don't get me wrong. I just think this is a little too vague, if I was a parent. You know, where's the statement that says that this won't happen unless all of our permissions are in order?
Oh, they do a whole big thing before
Yeah, they
you
already
go.
got all that paperwork
Right,
for
but we're
them.
not, we don't have that in front of us. as
No,
far-
he's
That's
just
because
asking
it's-
us to take them out of state. He's
I
not
get
giving
that.
us all that stuff. He gives that to the parents.
But yeah, I understand your
It's like
worry,
4 pages
but
long.
we've seen a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I'm
Yeah.
just saying what the paperwork looks like for somebody that
Yeah.
comes in out of the blue and looks at it, an insurance adjuster. And, you know, I'm just trying to think ahead of,
Yeah,
so we don't have a problem, is what I'm trying, that's all I'm thinking about.
yeah.
So maybe as a district, we need a liability, release of liability or permission slip that
I don't know.
every sports or every CTE or every activity adopts and uses so that we're.
We have that at the, we do have that, don't we?
Standardization.
We do for athletics.
Yeah, IHSAA,
They could just start signing
something similar to that.
something similar to that.
And an affirmation on your request that says that, whatever the language is, I can think of a couple of different things, but that all parental permissions are on file and probably, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just to kind of cover our backsides.
So I could offer that you would approve their travel out of state.
Oh, yes.
Requiring, however, with the expectation
We
that
can
all.
do it that way.
There you go.
Absolutely.
With all.
I just want it to be part of
You
our
can change
record.
my,
You need an amend motion?
sure.
Sorry.
I amend my motion to include,
With the expectation of appropriate permissions.
that,
Parental permissions.
with the acceptance of, yes.
And do we have another second?
Would be John. John,
Yeah.
second.
I'll go ahead.
That?
Yeah, go to that.
Now, we'll vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Approval of interstate sports travel.
Okay, at this point, I only have the ones that are included in the recommendations with
Presentation.
presentation from Greenville High School. It's kind of been a moving target for a minute, clarifying who does go out of state and who doesn't. And so at this point, I have Greenville High School spring sports. I will get the rest of them.
I have to read these two.
These are supposed to be mine.
So, table it?
If you approve the high school spring sports, I will
We have
have
that.
March.
I have
Yeah, you have that.
You'll see lots of other schools'
What is
agendas
that?
that they're approving a spring sports agenda or a spring sports schedule. Well, they're not approving the spring sports schedule, they're approving the travel.
The travel,
that's
yeah.
associated.
I move that we approve the interstate sports travel as presented.
For the 25-26 school year.
Do I need to state specifically
I'll second that
GHS?
At this point, you only have JHS, so you probably should.
Yeah,
I
so
don't have CDs in March.
I move that we approve the interstate sports travel schedule for Grangeville High School as
Second.
presented.
And a second. All in favor? Aye.
Yeah.
All right.
So-
25-26 school calendar.
So I was looking for notes because somebody contacted me about our professional days and said we don't need this many. But you would know. And have you gone through all of that?
Disagree.
Okay.
So what's happening, okay, so first of all, let's talk about the calendar.
15, 16.
What we have run into throughout the year, time and time again, is professional development that is now being required of us by the State Department. We have a ton of those mandated reporter trainings that we have to do. So there's a whole bunch of those. We try to do those as effectively as we can using vector training because that's a program online. But then we also have the nurse needs to train every building about the medical needs in their building. Like, this is what you do for the kiddo that has diabetes, this is what you do for the kid who has the heart, whatever. So those kinds of training. I know that earlier this year we had a collision. Biddy tried to schedule, was it CPR? And there was something else that was scheduled at the same time. So those days are a premium, and we're just not. We just are struggling to get those. Okay, what else? What also drove that is June being pushed back, the end of the school year being as late as in June as it was. And so by moving around the calendar, which basically matches this year's, it does, this is in all transparency, it does have the seniors in school until the day before graduation. That, the high school calendar, the high school hours, 990, is what really drives every calendar. It used to be kindergarten when it was a half day of kindergarten. That drove every calendar you ever made. Now it's high school's in-seat time, which is 990 hours. So if we keep the seniors at school until the Friday prior to graduation, we can get the kids out of school on the 4th of June, graduation on the 5th of June. And then that also provides us a few additional days of professional development that we have in there. And then that would last year, the state of Idaho required dyslexia training. And the state often will say, you have to have this training, but then they don't give us funds to pay somebody to do it. But kids have to be in school. So that it provides us with additional professional development time so that we don't have as many collisions.
Has the staff seen this?
Yes, we sent out a survey with 2 different drafts. One that was basically a mimic of this year, and then the second draft was this one that has all students getting out the day before graduation.
And this was the one that was preferred by staff.
There was 84 responses. I was really tickled with that. Normally surveys just are kind of like meh, but it was pretty quick and we got 84.
Awesome.
We also asked about like preference of spring break and aligning it with other school districts. We asked about Idaho County Fair and how much it impacts or is important to people, and so it was very important to about a quarter of our staff that took the survey, and neutral or indifferent to another quarter of our staff, and then about 50% said it's really not that impacted in their life. And so,
did we have makeup days for snow, for emergency closures this year?
This limits, this is a reduced number of makeup days. Our current calendar. Okay, so 990, we have currently, do you know how many hours it is in this year's calendar?
1,064.
Yeah, so there's automatically some days that are built into it. Reducing this calendar and getting the kids out by the first week in June takes us down to 2 days. And if there were to be more than 2 closure days, we would have to make it after that.
Got it.
Last year we did not have a closure. The year before we did not have a closure. 3 years ago we had 1 closure, except for the Epstein schools. Did I miss?
Oh, you have 3. Okay.
We said for any emergency closure, call. So
we
like,
didn't
yeah,
start,
we
like,
do have a buffer,
here?
but we did make,
we
or
didn't
like
start,
as a
here?
group, we kind of came to the statement that like if we're closed, we need to do that.
So
it's Idaho County
yes,
Fair?
this current calendar is making up every day. We do have enough hours for 2.
Cool.
Because most of our kids go to Lewis County Fair.
I think another big item that was in the survey, sorry, I'm just jumping in, a lot of staff members expressed how important they thought it was to end second quarter or first semester before Christmas break, because when you come back and then you have 2, maybe 3 weeks after Christmas break of second quarter, it's hard to
revisit that
content
content
and get back in the groove. And
yeah.
So we really try to accommodate that. That was probably the highest request out of the survey. So that was another change.
Our kid usually had to spend the whole Christmas break catching up on their work before the quarter ended.
That's usually what mine does too.
That's good. I move that we accept the Mountain View School District 244 school calendar 25-26 as presented.
Do you have a second? Sarah? Do you have a second?
Did we get to discuss it further after?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because I'm just not sure if like the seniors will be a little sad if we change their tradition of not being able to
They can still not show
get out a little earlier.
They can still not show up.
I mean, they're pretty well checked out by then.
Well, and here's the deal.
They're starting to check out now.
As a elementary teacher, we were always like, why are we going later than the high school? Because we have a lot less hours that we were required. It was kind of weird, but I think it was because the hours of the day, maybe? Because of the bus schedule?
Again, it used to be driven by kindergarten because kindergarten only went half days, so all calendars were driven. But when schools started having full day kindergarten, then it became high school, and high school is required 990 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, then the
seniors
It
could
kind
not
of
show
goes
up. But
along the lines like of IDLA classes too. Like a lot of them are all getting out at the same time, and so if ninth or freshmen, sophomore, and juniors, I mean, they're also just hanging out in a lot of the classes. Like
Yeah, because they'll be out in May. I mean, a lot of your IDLA classes will be done in May, and then they'll just be.
that was what pushed us to try to get this June date up as far as.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. If you guys say it's good.
Was that a second?
Did you second that?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
did.
Commit to a second?
I did, yeah, sorry.
Done with discussion? All in favor?
Hi.
I guess so.
Okay. Approval of independent contractor agreement. Tracy?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we table this item until next month.
Okay, I want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah, I don't want my motion on the table, please.
I have a motion on the table. Do we want a second, or do we want to discuss things here? So this is my thoughts on Tracy, because she's kind of unique, but she's really from another district, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it would actually be more efficient if, and this is at Tracy's suggestion, that we eventually have someone in-house doing her position. My thoughts are, I would like to keep her for a year. We may actually split the district and have 2 clerks that we need to train. So she could be a part of that process possibly. And then that would give us a little more stability through that transition. Is the contract from January 1st to January 1st or July 1st to
I
July
get
1st?
appointed in January.
Okay.
So you would reappoint in January.
Is that statutory? We were talking, is that
During your annual meeting.
right, but I mean, is that statutory? I just was wondering why we just don't align it with fiscal year. That's all.
It's always been done. It used to be done July 1.
Yeah.
But no, when ISBA changed the annual meeting to January 1, that's when you appoint your clerk.
The state in code, they changed trustee dates. to-
Right. So we're.
Well,
I
they
see.
changed elections to November, which meant you take office in January.
I just wondered why I wasn't part of the fiscal year.
Yeah, so we're paying her a separate contract, whereas if we combine that with another position, especially when we might get creative, like if we do split or whatever, even if we stick together, I think it would be more efficient and cost the district less if we combine it with another position. That's my thoughts.
If you what?
If we combine the clerk position with another position in the office for my.
I'd like to second Larry's motion, because I think we've got a lot more we need to learn about this.
Yeah, that
before
would be
we
fine.
make
This is just what I just wanted to talk about a little bit.
And I'm not in disagreement with you, I just, we've been, under this current situation, and I say situation, is that we're kind of lacking some paperwork which has nothing to do with the superintendent. This is something that was inherited by her, this situation. It just is what it is. We're lacking some documentation.
Can I ask what documentation says it's my
I've been told there is currently no contract.
I've submitted one in the packet.
Oh, we have.
No current contract
Correct.
that you've been working, the one signed off. I've never seen one. and I was told there isn't one.
Correct.
Okay,
That's
that's
why we're
all I'm
trying to come
saying.
up with.
Yeah, we're trying to do the paperwork now.
Yeah, we're trying to play catch-up.
Another contract.
And
Another
I just have a- I
example
just
of
have a
why we
few-
didn't
I
renew.
just have a few questions about, just so I have a better understanding.
You can go ahead and ask him now, it has to be on an open session.
Well, I get that. I'm not saying it won't be done in open session. What I'm saying is I have 12 different questions. You want me to go through all those? As you
No.
wish.
I don't know, when else would you do this, Larry? I mean, it has to be done.
Well, I communicated about this with the superintendent, and she suggested that the information that I'm requesting be made through the chair, which I think is appropriate, and then communicated back to the board. That was the way that was
Okay.
the recommendation.
So,
And I'm fine with
You
that.
guys prefer this?
oh, we got one more year. I mean, not like we were going to consolidate tomorrow.
Right.
So I don't know.
No. It would just be whether we want to approve her for another year, if we want to make,
We've already approved her for another year.
changes to the
She just doesn't have a
any of
contract.
those.
Yeah, I thought we were under the
We already
assumption.
approved that she would be our
But
clerk for the year.
We don't have a written contract.
Right, that's what
the
this is
issue.
for.
It's right here.
And you have issues with this, so we'll table it till next meeting? That's what
Yes.
that's the motion on the table.
That's the motion on the table.
We'll vote on this motion.
Yeah.
Further discussion.
So,
My only point is.
hang
that
on.
I think there's a bunch of questions. As we lay out what is required on this position. I
You
don't
want a
think-
more detailed,
Yeah.
Understand.
more
I think we
detailed
need to
contract?
understand what.
It is in
what-
Idaho code what the clerk does.
It says duties
Well,
of
I'd love to
clerk
see it. I
right
haven't
there,
read
the
the
clerk
code.
of the
It's in
board.
the
Is it in here?
Yes,
Well, I
I
haven't
wrote
had
it
a chance to
down.
read it yet. But anyhow.
So-
Again, I'd like time to go through it.
just in my personal preference with that, I would just prefer
With our
we go
abandonment.
ahead and accept this today, and she's locked in for another year.
Yeah.
Just be done.
It does seem to have everything that's I mean, it does have everything in a contract. But
does.
if Larry, Tracy, are you okay if we table it? I mean, you're not going to leave us, are you?
You don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of,
I mean, that's my
Like
decision,
it-
what I
like it-
decide to do.
Yeah.
do we accept the pay, do we accept the conditions, do we accept everything like that
I accept them.
for an additional year?
Yeah.
I accept it
I
as
think
well.
we need, I personally, I like having her around, but I think we need to move on to someone in-house.
I think she's been
Is
doing
what
an
I'm-
outstanding
what I'm-
job.
That's my thoughts.
And we're going to need somebody to train the next person.
Yeah.
So-
I think that makes her transit, because we're losing we keep losing key players.
Yeah, we're losing 3 people if we don't
We need
sign this.
Stability, we just need
Yeah.
stability.
Michael?
That one
Stick
too.
around.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm looking for are details of what's involved with the clerk's position. This gives things about an independent contractor in general, but
Idaho code is stated at the very top of that.
That's
deputies of the clerk, duties of the clerk.
Yep, 33508.
so. You had a table on there? You had a table in a second?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
The table in a second, so we have to vote on that. You want to vote on that now?
I mean, she's already been doing this job for 2 years without a contract. I think that having this is what we need.
Now, if we approve her contract now, we could still move on creating a contract for the
Oh, yeah, for the next one.
subsequent ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be okay with that? I'm not you have to say that, I'm
You
just
need to
saying.
take a motion.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
a motion on the table, so you're gonna have to take a roll call.
Yeah.
It'd be good to know if Larry would be okay with that. Like, accept this one now and then work on a new
And
one.
work on a new contract.
I am not.
You are not?
I am not.
You need to vote on your motion.
That's right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just cheat
Do we
sheet.
have any more discussion?
No.
Okay. The
And what's the-
motion is.
What's the issue with
He
this one?
Tabled until he had adequate paperwork. Correct? Is
Yeah.
that what you said?
I gotta dig into the weeds on it a little more.
Okay. So the motion is
And I think
table it to
that's-
the next
Yeah.
meeting. Do we want to do that?
No.
All in favor of tabling till the next meeting?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
It's on me, huh? I'm gonna
You should have
say-
raised your hand first on one of them.
I'm gonna say nay.
So, hang on, so motion failed.
Now, we entertain a new motion.
Number 9 does allow us to terminate, either party may terminate this agreement. Just an FYI also. And we-
I would motion that we accept the independent contract for our board clerk as presented.
As presented.
And I would,
Second one.
I would second that as presented.
As presented. Okay? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Where do we go with that?
But I need my name. You need that.
Oh, and nays, sorry. Yes, okay.
So motion carried.
Motion carried. Okay. On that, do we want to put board clerk contract on next meeting's agenda?
That would be
Yeah,
great.
if you want us to-
Yes.
Develop a
For
board clerk.
next year?
Yes, that
for
would be
next
great.
year's.
Okay.
Might be kind of hard with us not knowing, but it would be good to have one for each district, so. Or
Well, you never know.
the
You
same
might have
district.
a librarian / a board clerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to head that direction. That's what I
Mhm.
think.
I agree. We used to
I
have
think
that.
it's-
I mean, we love you, Tracy, but
No, I am actually, guys, I am actually the one that suggested.
yeah, I know.
She suggested it. and
I'm
He said
I
that.
think it'll save the district money, and I
Yeah.
think it's just better to be in-house, and I think that we've just
Yeah.
been juggling things kind of crazy.
And I'm getting tired.
Understand.
All right,
You're allowed.
moving on.
Can you take me with you?
Approval of surplus items.
Okay, actually the next two items, just a little FYI so that you're prepared for it. When you purchase something with public funds, you have to have an accounting of those items. You can't just get rid of them, you have to. And so we have, in preparation for the inventory that is going to be done, we have some miscellaneous bus and vehicle parts. I'm sorry, I don't have a list of them that they want to approve for a surplus. They will add them to our, I never can remember that site.
Public surplus.
Public surplus. You'd think I'd remember that. They would have just put them on the public surplus, but in order to do that, you have to surplus items. And then the next one down, which is to approval of no value, you can actually declare something as of no value. You have a recommendation from our technology director. And my own experience with that is it costs you $10 to box them up and you get $2 for them.
Yeah.
That. And so just in his valuable time that it would take for him to do anything, we're recommending on that second one that you're not even putting them for surplus, that he can dispose of them as he wants. Doing that, he can actually make them available to the public to take if they want, because you declared them as no value. So that's kind of two things, and it's two actions. I just spoke on this.
Do we need to table that first one without having a list of the items? Because we really can't approve something, I mean,
I
Was there not a list of surplus?
I don't think so. I didn't get one. And
is it okay to wait a month or not?
Let Tracy look and see if she has it, and I just missed it, because sometimes they go to her and not me.
We did get
I really don't think so.
Michael's.
You don't think it was? Yeah.
The list of items?
Do we have to do it this month?
No, we can put it on next month.
Okay, I move that we table this item, this
Thank you. I will get on top of you.
approval of surplus items till next month.
Second.
Is there a second?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Second. All in favor? Table?
Aye.
Aye. I move that we approve the no value recommendation as presented.
Oh, wait, you're on to the next agenda item, hold on.
Yep. We kind of covered
You kind
both.
of, okay, I'm
Sorry,
ready.
second wording.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Third.
All in favor?
Fourth.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Got that?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, table policies.
Those are all your concealed carry policies that you currently have in place. It's 8705 concealed firearm policy,
Why are
and then
we
the forms
tabling
that go with it, and I will turn them.
Yeah, you're the guru.
Trustee
Do you
Dale.
have anything else to say?
Boy, you're in trouble.
about that?
We do have
Hey,
people interested.
just, gosh, has it even been a month? We were notified by the sheriff's department that they were not going to be able to partner with us in the manner that we had originally thought was going to be possible, based on what I'll call a speed bump. And so it would be my recommendation that we, given the complexities of the situation, there needs to be a rather serious revision of the policy itself. I think it's not a bad idea, given that we have a school resource officer who's coming up to speed, all these things coming into play. I think we ought to just, I can't find the word, inactivate the policy. Well, it says table. We don't want to table it because we don't have a date to table to. Suspend, that's the word. We suspend the whole 8705 series, and we will get back to that when we can.
Wait.
That's my motion, I'm sorry. I should have said it that way.
I'll second.
Suspend.
Wait a second.
Second. So, Larry, is there other options for training for?
There is, but it's
Expensive.
the other thing that I didn't mention was we expect we will have a new superintendent who needs to be part of this process also coming in. So there's all these things kind of making a perfect storm for us. So we thought we're not going to get anything done in a perfect world, probably for another 2 or 3 months, and then we're talking school's going to be out. The timing just sucks.
I just didn't want to abandon it.
No, absolutely not.
Because we put a lot of work into it. You put a lot of work into it. I didn't want to abandon it.
We just need to put a hold.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
8705 series.
All right, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, approval of Series 1000.
We're gonna edit the 1600, right?
Yeah, we're gonna, Mrs. Edwards and I are gonna work on.
So do no action?
No action.
No action, thank you.
Series 2000.
Selection and use of removal of curriculum.
Gosh, we already did that last year, didn't we?
Well, we've been talking about it for a couple of months now.
Yeah.
How are you going to select your committee? And in your packet, you will have 2520P currently has a recommendation from curriculum, from the policy committee that 6 patrons are randomly selected from a list of volunteers in a blind drawing during the regular board meeting. Behind that, you will find PAMEI policy. PAMEI has an application for theirs. And behind that, you will find Cottonwood's policy. And they just talk about membership needs to be, they don't talk about selection. And then there's a couple of emails from other superintendents. I reached out to Region 2 superintendents and asked them what they're doing in their districts. Wendy Moore did not get a policy back from me. Janet Avery from Potlatch. She said that, we just let whoever wanted to be. We're never concerned about there being too many. They've all been basically. Her email is there. And then happen to have Pocatello's policy.
So do we want to work on that some more with the policy committee?
If
Or what?
I may, I believe at the last meeting where we had left this was an agreement that we were going to be doing some sort of a questionnaire screening, and the board members were each supposed to come back with some recommended questions from which we could choose and accumulate a list.
And I
2
believe
questions.
you are correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
So, I'm ready.
He's got it. So, a couple questions apiece.
Okay.
Well, there's a number of ways we can do it. There's 5 of us, so we can do 2 questions apiece.
10 questions is.
10 questions
I think
total.
Do we want to compile that list right now?
Weren't they supposed to, weren't you
I think
supposed
we
to
were
come
Supposed to come
back?
back
Supposed
with,
to come
yeah,
back
we
with
were.
Yep.
We could just use mine.
Hey, fine.
Well, that's, there's
There's not
that
10 there,
covers
but I
it,
can.
but that's fine, yeah.
Ah.
Why don't you read yours, and then if you
Yeah.
want to add to it,
Sure.
that would be
Do you
great.
have
And by the way, I
kids in
read all the information that you included in the packet. I was, frankly, I had, in working on that policy originally, I had done likewise, only had a new copy of it. But I like CAMEI's application. Everything always needs tweaking, but nonetheless, that is kind of headed in the same direction. I'm hoping that we had All right, the questions that I have, that I would like to ask somebody, is why do you believe you are best suited to help the Mountain View Board of Trustees select curriculum for our students? Okay. Number 2, what does the term, quote, traditional American values mean to you? Number 3, regarding your background, what area of academic study, achievement, and/or life experience have you had that you think will be uniquely helpful in selecting curriculum, and why? 4, what philosophy should take precedence in K through 12 curriculum? And I gave some examples: globalist, classical, liberal arts, Bible-based, strictly secular, other. Please specify and why. So that's an open-ended question. Number 5, please tell us what you think, because this issue does come up as a matter of statute on occasion. Please tell us what you think this district's, our community's, local values and culture are, standards, however you want to phrase that. 6, what subjects do you think public schools should not be teaching? And what subjects do you think public schools should focus on teaching more of? What I'm trying to do is get a picture of a person and their orientation to the task as a person, and not strictly, I was an electrical engineer for 52 years and wrote 7 manuals, so I'm pretty good at writing stuff. I want to see what's the word I'm looking for? I'm running out of words tonight. You can help me. What their orientation to life and the responsibility of this curriculum business is. Yes. I actually had more. We also need to make sure they have a child, or we should ask them if they have a child currently in Mountain View School District, because 50% of the 6 adults that we would have on this committee, 50% of them have to have a kid in one of our schools.
Okay.
Lacey's got some good ones.
I do.
Go for it.
Do it.
She remembered. Thank you.
Do you have kids in school?
Yeah.
That was one of them.
That's great.
What school did you go to school here? And did you move to Idaho County in the last 4 years? And please tell me why you did or didn't.
Well, why you did.
Why you did.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
No. That's 5. Is that? That's 10.
You're like Alexander Hamilton. You wrote like all of the. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Mine would be briefly describe your background, training experience, employment, educational level. Describe any other information you would like us to consider as we develop a broad-based panel of staff, parents, and community members.
I'm bad. I didn't get any of them written down.
Okay.
Did you ask the question, why should we choose you?
No, I just want to, I'm going to be like this.
Why do you
I
want
just
to do this?
Frank, what are
Give
your
those to
intentions for being on?
Tracy.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
John, will you pass those to Tracy?
There.
So we're basically tabling this,
Are we
right?
doing all these, or are we going to narrow it down to a certain amount? What do you guys want?
Oh, they're all good.
All of them?
They're all pretty good.
As long as they're not repetitious.
I gotta ask,
You
because
kinda
I
have
have to
to-
deal with this question a lot, okay? What difference does it make when they move to Idaho County? Help me understand that.
Their values.
Values.
I
It
agree.
is.
I agree with it.
Yeah.
I agree with it.
What if they just say, I got a new job?
It just
Great.
I just
No,
wanted
that's
an interesting
It's
question.
just like with the like all the people that moved in recently. A lot of them don't have kids in school, and they have like some big says on what our curriculum is going to be. And they're not the ones who has the kids in school, and the teachers are the ones that are teaching it. So
Well, I've been friends with this man for a long time, but I wouldn't care if he got here 30 days ago.
yeah.
I'd want him on the committee because of who I know he is.
That's great.
That's why I was looking at a whole person
Oh yeah.
kind of a
yeah.
concept, so.
So
No, I
there was
just think,
actually like a proposed bill at the legislature that asked, like they were going to propose that you couldn't vote. I mean, of course, that's not legal, but in the state of Idaho for 4 years until you got to know the actual system, and like, but that obviously couldn't have went through, but it was proposed. Yeah.
So I compiled these into a questions and bring them back to next month, or what is it? You know?
Could we make it look like Cammy Eyes? With just the grid system? Is that okay?
Yeah, that looked pretty good.
Can I work with you on that?
Do you have any experience?
Please?
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm kind of hip deep in this anyway.
This coming week, I'm moving around trying to catch it.
Whenever you have, I'm way more flexible. Okay.
So don't we get deep in it?
I'm being gentle.
And I just wanted to put, do they have any experience, any prior experience in selecting curriculum? That was my
Oh.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
Whether it be
one.
homeschool curriculum or whatever, it doesn't matter.
Great.
So they're
I
pretty
don't think
generic.
homeschool people should be
That's what I
put, selecting
Okay.
public school
So
children's
at this point in
curriculum.
time, we're gonna compile that list.
Yeah, we're gonna
Everybody's
table it
okay with
and-
all those questions?
Yeah. I move that we table, do I need to move? That we table the 2520P to next month? What?
That over here.
Do we need to do that?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
lost
the
it.
two of them.
Well,
I
can we
lost it.
just add that to our policy and?
We have to,
You wanna look at it?
We're gonna remember
Yeah.
about these
Yeah,
chairs
okay.
next time.
Yes.
Look at my legs
Table
up there.
curriculum.
I second.
We have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Yes,
right.
please.
Series 8000.
8140.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, I want to say that with respect to the superintendent's previous comments about that policy committee, I thought this was some pretty darn good work. I think that was good.
Do you have any comments on that?
No, the transportation ones really all come to us from the Department of Transportation, and we're required to have. That's one of the things that they do when they do our audit in the fall. Do you have these policies?
Why do we have like
So
such
that's
long ones
why
about vehicle
all of
idling?
these transportation policies coming through there.
Because people
And then the last two, food service meal charges and the procedures for
Oh,
food
they do
service
that
meal
at
charges,
sports
that comes from the food services of America and their mandate that we have that. I do want to say that we don't starve kids, I promise you. It's a difficult thing. It's a really difficult thing because we do have parents who just don't pay for meals. And that's not the kids' fault at any age, even in high school. It's tough. And so, so we do have to have a procedure for maximum charges. And then they do get an alternative lunch, which is a Uncrustable and a cheese stick and a milk or something like, or fruit and apple and a milk, which isn't much, but it meets the minimum guidelines. And then we do have a fund that we use to pay for meals. And each building has a slush fund. It's like when a senior graduates and they don't take the balance of their money, it goes into that. Or at the end of the year, sometimes it's just a patron who'll come in and say, here's some money, put it in to help pay for students' meals. Now, this is where a really conservative, hard-nosed person's gonna come out of me, so take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes, I encourage principals to call the Department of Health and Welfare because it is your responsibility as a parent to feed your child. Either send them with a sack lunch, reach out to the school to fill out a new free and reduced lunch application because often you qualify, you just have to fill out the form. And so I will tell you that some days I get kind of hard-nosed. I go, okay, we've done everything we can for this family. We can't continue to pay for little Johnny's meals, but we want him to eat. Let's see if somebody else can apply some pressure to the parents. So we don't let kids starve, but we are sometimes a little pushy with the parents.
It's usually when you have a really good secretary.
With respect to crossing Ts and dotting Is, I would like to suggest a couple of very minor edits to the policy 8170P.
What about 81, or what,
You have
do
to
you
work
want to,
down.
yeah, go in line, please, start at 8140.
I only have the two recommendations, according, one recommendation each on two different policies.
So let's do 8140 first.
Okay,
Do you
so
have
we'll
any
just-
recommendations
Oh, you want
there?
it? No.
Yeah.
One at a time.
No.
8140, any changes?
So are you doing a motion for each one, or are you doing a motion at the
So,
beginning?
I thought I cleaned it up.
Oh.
and then do the whole thing.
How are you wanting to do it?
You can do all of the 8000 for those.
Okay,
Simplest
okay,
way.
so you're doing
That
all
would
of
be-
it?
That would be the
All right.
second.
8170T, page 1, at the bottom, item number 2, where it says refrain from, red word, engaging in other activities which may distract. That's just a silly sentence. We just need to strike the word other.
Oh.
Just refrain from engaging in activities which may distract. See, that's all. And then that'll be my recommendation there. And then on 8195, which is the vehicle idling. I found it was amusing that we had to deal with this. 2F, that, we just need to rework this sentence. I think it was somehow an oversight on the original edit or whatever, but it currently reads, I'm sorry. Item 3 says, buses should not idle on or off school grounds for longer than 5 minutes unless, item F currently says there are weather conditions and the purpose is to warm the interior of the vehicle. Well, I think we need to say there are frigid weather conditions, or something.
Extreme.
Qualified. We have weather conditions
There was
all the time.
extreme in there.
Extreme was already in there.
I know, but we struck it. Mine shows that we struck it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
extreme is good.
why.
Why can't we say frigid weather conditions so that we know it's
You
cold?
say even just
Cold is fine. There's something
Favorable.
that says that it's cold outside, we want to turn the heater on. That's all.
Do these buses have air conditioning?
Yes.
They do.
no.
Do they?
Buses have air conditioning. It's called roll
I
down the
don't think
window.
so.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I wondered if you would idle to keep it
5510.
cool. That's
Oh,
what I was
no.
Well, that's a great question. There you go.
None of the school buses have air conditioning that I am aware of.
No.
Cold windows.
Okay, so
Windows.
They do have the windows. Mostly the idling is for the cold weather.
And that's
So if we said the cold weather conditions
There are-
require warming the interior of the bus, something like that.
Okay.
And other than that, I'm done. Finally.
If Larry's good, I'm good.
with those corrections, are we okay with the 8,000 series?
I do believe
Anyone
so.
make a motion?
I move that we accept the 8,000 series with the edits as proposed.
Thank you.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Informational items. Letters from Debbie Critchfield.
Okay, yeah, the first one is just the local letter from Debbie Critchfield, Superintendent of Public Instruction, Debbie Critchfield, in regard to the presidential, I lost those words earlier, the same meeting.
Executive orders.
The presidential executive orders, and mostly,
Letting us know that we can't have DEI in
she's just been
school.
like, hold on, don't panic yet, just move forward with caution. The one that probably impacts us the least is the
OMB.
Immigration.
immigration,
Yeah,
because we
oh.
really probably don't have very many. And the reason I say that it impacts us the least is kudos to my building principals and secretaries, is that they have been working extremely hard to have a copy of an official birth certificate on file.
Sweet.
It used to be that the parents would get that beautiful one from the hospital that's not really a birth certificate, it's a certificate of birth. And so they would turn those in, and we used to take them and count them, but they're not real. So they've been working hard, they've been like Santa Claus, making a list and checking it twice, and really striving to ensure that we have a certified, a real
Idaho.
birth certificate on file.
Okay.
And then, oops, that was just informational. And then that last one is, I just want to ask maybe some guidance from you.
Some
You're not
cooperative
taking
purchase.
action in national cooperative purchasing. Okay, sorry. So, it's okay, I can explain it, and then you can tell me, bring us more, or give it up. We'll go with that. In a school, we have always had to bid all of our projects. If you're gonna replace a roof, you have an architect come in, that architect looks at the roof, that's a process. Then you advertise that bid, and then that bid goes out, and you go to the lowest, we have a rubric for scoring the bid, and it goes out to lowest bidder. That's a fine program, that really is. You want to have the best price for all of that work. That worked best when buildings were less complicated, and we had construction companies that could do a broader spectrum of things. Now construction companies are specializing in just HVAC, or just those round roofs, or just asphalt roofs, or metal roofs, or whatever. And so there is a new avenue for schools, and it's called cooperative purchasing. So in a cooperative purchasing, you
Get a piggyback
go
off of.
and there's a company of like, these are the companies that are approved to work with. Here's the best example is buses. We want to buy a bus. Instead of going out to bid the bus and that whole process, the process which is slow and expensive, you go to a cooperative purchasing and you say, we're looking for a bus, a 45 passenger bus, and they're like, here's our bids, we've already sent out bids for 45 passenger buses, here they are, pick one, and you go. That's great, that is a great process, and I highly encourage it for things like buses, because we don't have any local busing contractors here to provide buses.
Yeah, just, what's that one?
I will
Harlow's?
tell you, it's probably the best for the district to go to cooperative purchasing for roofs, but there's an unintended consequence in that the likelihood of a local contractor getting the bid is less, because unless they've gone on this list to become an approved contractor. So we have a couple of roofs that need to be done, and they need to be done soon. Some of the roofs we may have a local contractor bid on. Some of them we don't have a local company that will do those. It's the domed roof. The domed roofs, we don't have a local contractor that bids on those. And it's a process, and we have to get an architect in, and we pay an architect to tell us what to do. Where if we go to a purchasing cooperative, they do the design bid build. So they design it with their contractors. McKinstry Enterprises, McKinstry Incorporated? I'm not sure about their item. They are a company, they're currently working with CAMI. They did a ton of work at Washington State University. They're one of these companies. They're just one that I'm mentioning that's on that. They come in with their architects. They say, this is what you need to do. This is what it's going to cost. We're an approved vendor. Here you go. And so you don't have that whole process of the bid. Again, I wanted to be really clear that the reason this is not in an action item is, do we want to be careful in going that route, which may be the most effective, but it means that we might not have local bids, and we want to try to keep our business at home. Or do we reach out to these companies and say, hey, we're going to start using this cooperative bidding, this national cooperative bidding process, would you get listed? What's your wisdom?
I would say use, oh, go ahead, Gary.
Is there a way we can choose to be in or out of this? Depending on the project?
There's one of them called TIPS, and it's free. You get in their list, and you're in, you're out. It doesn't matter. You can pick and choose from them anytime you want. So it's basically like having the Gurney's catalog. Yeah. I've got it, and I can order all the seeds I want, or I can choose not to, but I do.
Go A's.
So
as long as we don't get locked in.
Sorry, we can choose a local if they're available, and then if they're not available, then use this?
You'd have to go to a bid to get locals. And I'm speaking likely, I don't know for sure, because I'm not all the contractors in the area. To get a local contractor, you'd probably have to do the traditional design, put it out to a bid package, get bids, and then you might get a local contractor. If you go with the cooperative purchasing, you are less likely to go local.
So I do believe when you do that, you have to put it in your local paper.
Yes.
What would you suggest?
I would side on the side of caution, just because sometimes you don't get what, just because they're the cheapest on like a big old giant list, sometimes they're not super great.
You can ask for an RFQ, a request for qualifications, and in that they have to show you some other jobs that they've done and give you letters of recommendation and references, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Just an experience.
They go, this one of them that I'm thinking of is TIPS, and they go to them, like, these are some jobs we've done, this is our insurance, this is our bid package, this is our, how many engineers we have, so they go through a vetting process with them. So they've already been vetted through this other.
So Mrs. Wildos, like the example we were kind of talking about with each other, like for buses, or like we've been talking about replacing the GHS dome roof, those are items that odds are we won't find local anyways. They're very specific and specialty, and so if we chose to do a cooperative, it's not hurting the local community because it probably isn't their specialty. And so we would still be able to focus on, like, if it was repainting a building, we wouldn't have to use the cooperative
Right.
and could stay local and do
Yeah,
the bid
that's what I mean,
process.
just err on the side of caution.
Which means, what do you mean by err on the side of caution?
Like,
Not be a part of this or be a part of this?
well, you could be for big stuff and
Yeah.
not be for smaller things.
Yeah, well, so if we're a part of this, we just have more options, right?
Yeah, so when you do
I
a
think so,
local,
right?
when you do a local bid, often, so we advertise the bid, put it in the paper. We also will send it out to known vendors. So we send
Sure.
that bid package out so that we hopefully get,
Yeah.
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 I just don't
So-
want- I just
We
don't
don't
want
need to make a
water
motion though
system.
anyway, right?
No,
No,
this is just
not action.
information.
This is
Yeah.
just conversation.
Okay.
Help me to know what you think. as
We did
the
that one
trustees
time with
that voice
ours
of this
and.
community.
I trust whoever is doing it all the time. Well, never mind. Just kidding.
It's gonna be a fun
Yeah,
month.
honestly,
Just kidding.
yeah, I think.
We're going to miss you,
Carly.
Carly.
I'd like to be a
I have to give you some.
part of it when we need it, but then if we can go local, just go local.
I don't want to lock us in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not locked into anything, right?
No.
So we're.
No.
As long as
we're
we're not
good.
locked in, I'm fine.
I guess that's not really a decision.
Yeah, we don't
Any
have
further
to.
comments?
No.
We're good? Everybody?
Oh my God. Oh, it hurts.
Does anybody want this Secure Rural Schools article that I